everybody, my name's Cara on Fire and welcome back to Conan Exiles. Today we are going to be looking into some of the dungeon changes that are coming in Chapter 2. First place I'm starting is King's Scourge, one of the oldest dungeons in the game. We're going to be having a look at some of the changes within here, as well as some of the loot, because the loot has all changed across the map and everywhere. First thing to notice in here now is there's a lot more traps dotted around the place, so be extra careful. There's a lot more spike traps hidden around the place. Coming into one of the first rooms, we're gonna go check out some of the chests. There's a lot of these chests now that have like money coins and a coin purse in them now, so they are a lot more frequent. There is also loot in here that to me is very worthwhile and nice loot. Like, I would be over the moon with that as loot, and it's pretty common throughout the dungeon as well. One of the biggest differences I noticed in here was the back room. Now, let me show you where this is. To get to the key where you get into King Scourge's vault, you need to go and get the key from this box over here. But instead of going back, you can continue through this doorway and get into the back loot room, which has always been a thing, but it hasn't been as spicy as now it is. So now you're going to the back room, and it is absolutely full of spikes, but it's also absolutely full of chests. So there's a lot of nice, worthwhile loot in here that you can go ahead and grab. That should be really nice. And a lot of coins as well. And some other bits and pieces like golem parts and all sorts. So there's like a big treasure room in the back that will be really worth visiting now. If we move over to the Dregs, the next change I noticed was in here. There's a couple of changes in this dungeon now. So before you went down here, I tested this on the other version of Conan because I was like, wait a minute, wasn't this a thing before? There now seems to be a spider down here. I couldn't get a spider to spawn in my single player on the official version of the game, and this only seems to be a thing in tests live, so excuse me if I got it wrong, but there now seems to be a spider here. This will come and attack you, so you'll be careful, but if you were to kill it off, it does give some nice loot, and some nice loot indeed, because it seems to give the reliable butcher reliably. I've gotten this loot several times out of the spider, and it gives some really nice stuff for someone starting out indeed. Now, if we move towards the end of the place, there is another change. This change being with the actual drag itself. So instead of going right to this one, now you're going to see a big old chain hanging down, and you can actually get up to it. So the way you're going to get up to it is you're going to try and hop up this, because you can't actually climb the walls of this area. And then I find first person helps. You jump in first person and grab and hold, and that way you can get up the chain. You're going to need some decent stamina to get up here, because it's a really long way to get up. But this chain was not here before. I have verified on the old version of the game. I actually had to go back and forth between the two to look at this information, because some of these areas did exist before, but they have been altered slightly. So it's a bit like, oh, okay, this is a thing now, right? So the one bad thing about this now is getting down as a pig. A lot of times you'll miss your shot and die. So it would be nice to at least slide down this wall if they can make it a thing, because it is very mean for a first time dungeon. That would be my recommendation anyway, because it is rather mean trying to get down on that chain. But this actual platforming stuff up here used to be a thing before, but you couldn't never get up to it. But now you can get up to it. And now there is loot right at the very top, which is the difference. So in here you can get your hands on some Dafari unusual items, such as the cudgel and a bunch of other Dafari loot, and some other Dafari loot like the bone shield. That would be really nice to go and take down the dreg as well, maybe in the future if you were to run this again. One of the other biggest changes I noticed was actually in the warmaker dungeon. There's a couple new mini bosses to check out. First one is behind the green door, where you would usually go to see one of the archivists, and there is this new skelly boss that sits in the middle here. That wasn't a thing before. He's free skull, he has about 5k HP, and he can give some nice loot, including this ghastly sword, which is in legendaries. So you get some legendaries and extra nice tidbits off of these new mini bosses. If we now move over to the blue room, which most people visit last when they're getting all the statues, depending on how they feel, there is now this blood defiler that now sits in the middle of the pool, which you can also kill, which is also a boss of sorts. If you do kill him, he seems to regularly drop 2 items, but they are both legendary, so he can be a really nice one to farm for some legendaries. Probably an easier one to farm for some legendaries, but do bear in mind he has friends, like quite a few friends indeed. And his friends drop decent stuff as well, honestly. Like the elephant hide is always a really nice addition. The other change I noticed was this wall. This used to not be able to be crackable from what I can remember. I did try. I've looked up as well. I'm like trying to re-verify, but there used to be like a yeti frozen in it, but now you can actually crack through the ice. So in this room now, you can find a free skull black yeti boss, which is really awesome. He has 8k health just over, and he is, well, just like any other regular yeti, but he's very mean. But if you kill him, he will give some nice stuff. So he's also giving you a unique hardened steel war axe, which will be better than a regular hardened steel war axe, and some other nice goodies. He also has some chests in his room and some spiders that sometimes come in, so you can check his chests out for some nice additional loot, which is also quite similar to the King's Scourge loot in here, it would seem. So you can get similar really nice loot sets in here that include things like star metal bars and all sorts. We'll have a quick gaze at that. I can do this by going over to one of the most lucrative rooms in here, which is the mammoth room with tons of chests in it, to give you a good idea about the loot in here now. So if you look in here, radium gems, star metal bars, obsidian, leather, money. You can find lots of money for your coffers, lots of golem parts you can find in the dungeons now. They seem to really like giving you frames and bits and bobs to craft for new shields and stuff, even more gold. These lovely, I love seeing this stuff in here because this stuff usually a bit of a pain to make, so it's nice to have some extras on standby. Lots more treasure in the chests, composite obsidian does pop up quite regularly now, and some other goodies, so it's definitely going to be way more lucrative to go in dungeons now. Another big dungeon with a lot of changes is this one, the very end one you'll ever go in. So let's dive straight into it. Oh, am I gonna get it? Oh, you have to twirl a bit. Here we go. Oh, we're here. Wow. So in here now, the mini bosses and the snake people are a lot more worth actually coming and killing off. They are very nice to actually come and kill off because they drop lots of goodies. I'm actually going to mute the audio on this one because it's so noisy. So I've made my way over to the big ass forge in the middle where you usually get the obsidian. This guy now you can kill off, and he'll give you some unusual items, unique items, and some actual obsidian himself. Now, there are more mini-bosses than that as well that we can go check in the different rooms. One of the end bits being the most worth it, so we'll move over to this next bit over here. And here we are, it's like a little school area, I find, or some praying area. I don't know which one it is, but it feels like that. And we have this guy leading the horde over here. Now, if we come and make this guy perish, he gives some nice stuff as well. You can see he gives actually a legendary sword, and he gives a unique item and some more composite obsidian. So these guys will be really nice and worth it. You can also go in here and get some other bits and bobs like the serpentman loot. Now in this next zone, there's all these eggies here you can see, but there is some actual loot if you can brave the lava. I think the best idea is just to parkour at some of these sides, dodge the lava the best you can, and don't land in it, otherwise that would be really bad. But over here, we go over here to this edge over here. There's some more loot chests around the place. Nice and lucrative and worth looting if you can get your hands on them. Keep an eye out. There seems to be a lot more chests in this area from what I have noticed than before, unless I'm just tripping balls. You need a shovel to dig this one up, but this one will give you some treasure, so you can get some treasure out of these. And then we need to kind of hop over to the other side if we can. On this middle part, there is some more loot in the chest here, and then on the other side there is also even more loot. So if we hop over the lava, ooh, that was a little too close for my comfort, I'm not gonna lie, guys. There is another chest over here you can check out with some even more loot that has some nice bits and bobs in it. Like, all this steel reinforcements is gonna be so lovely to have, honestly. So if we come into this area with the fire pits, there is one guy you need to defeat to open the door usually, and his loot set has also changed quite a bit. So here he is, right by the door. You have this one skull boss. If you kill him off, he can drop some really nice stuff as well, as you can see. Honey Dregs seem to be like a quite similar thing around here. But he also drops a unique item, a hardened steel greatsword. I will say the hardened steel greatsword and general sword seems to be really common drops out of bosses, but yeah, it just seems to be a common thing. But you can still, I imagine, grind him down for some nice stuff. But anyway, he's not the only guy. In this room as well, there is other men that you can go ahead and kill that also drop other uniques that seem to be the hardened steel kind. I think I've lost what I'm looking for, but either way, kill this guy off, and not only from there, if we head to this direction on the left when you head in, there's some more chests. There's a lot more chests in this area, so definitely have a look around, because there are chests upon chests. But in this little corner up here, you can also get a little bit more loot. These guys don't seem to give very much of anything. They're not very worth it, but there's a little corner over here that gives stuff. So some more really nice loot, reinforcements, serpent men weapons, and just really improved resources in here. Yeah, keep an eye out here because the loot is super nice now, and if you can have a little rummage round, that's also like a really nice thing to do, because you might get some worthwhile things. And find a few more of these as well. Serpentman statue, that seems to be another thing I have just gotten. Let's see if I can make it through any further. There are lots of little hidden trinkets and bits and bobs and treasure around. A little bit further from here as well, you have the little purple boss zone there. We're on a little outspit of the path. In this little broken house is also some sneaky graves to dig. And I got some runestone. Ooh. Into the Temple of Frost, our next location to go and check out. We're going to go to one of the rooms on the right. Before we do though, checking out some of this loot in this dungeon now. A lot more ice themed stuff, and you can actually get some black ice items for free, which I thought is a really nice extra that you can have there. Moving on to the right chamber, so you have this corridor, usually on the right. You don't really get much in here, but instead now there is a Black Yeti boss and a legendary box, and some extra guys I think in here. But yeah, legendary box, Black Yeti boss, you kill him off for some loot. He will give you a unique item and some goodies. And of course you can hack him up for other stuff as well, so you get a skeleton key out of these Black Yetis. Don't forget to harvest that out of them. Now, this is most of the changes I have found so far. There are a few other really minor changes, like a few more chests and other things in other dungeons, but I haven't found anything too large and in charge of difference. I am going to pop in the wine cellar real quick though, just to have a look at some of the loot in here, just to show you guys. Like, I really am happy with the new loot sets. Those are a couple of new chests that you wouldn't have before. Seth even dropped some nicer stuff. Actually, he just dropped his truncheon for me. That's crazy. Okay, thanks, mate. But yeah, even he has some nice bits and bobs in him. Still has his truncheon. You can pretty much come in here for some cheap, really quick alcohol that maybe, I'm hoping in the future, it would be nice if you could sell some of this stuff or do something else with it. But you can get some really fast alcohol in here. There's several chests in the entrance. You don't really have to go any further. You just need to kill off like 3 guys, and that's really easily done. So that's a nice addition right there. And then we'll have a look at some of the loot down beyonder. So the loot in here is still really high quality. You can get a lot of coins just by coming to the first bit. You can still get Kari steel chests all over the place. One of the big loot differences down here I've noticed is there is a ton more gold and silver. It's very lucrative that way. You can also get quite similar high-end loot to some of the other dungeons, but I have noticed like more hardened steel bars in this one. There is a little bug at the moment. It seems to be a bit hit or miss with some chests in here and other places around the map where the chests can be empty. I'm hoping they will iron this out before it comes in the official version, because it just seems a little weird. There's also seems to be a lot of this. I don't know what this is. There's like floating hammers in this dungeon. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm guessing it's something underground or something hasn't spawned correctly. But let's go into this area, have a little bit more of a look at some of the loot you can get in this zone. This is a really good area to look at loot in particular. And you also have this guy right here we can kill off and have a look in his body. So a lot more treasure dropping out of these guys. You see coins and very similar things to the last one. Then we have a gaze in some of these chests. I think that one is actually the buggy one I'm talking about, so that has no loot in it. This one you can see star metal, lovely composite obsidian. You're seeing a lot of ebony silk now, so a lot of that is going around. You got the normal loot along here, so of course you could pick up relic fragments, more and all sorts here. And then these two are the legendary chests that are now a thing, so a lot more high-end loot. I haven't found any changes apart from the loot sets in here though, but I am of opinion of this place didn't really need any extras to begin with, because this dungeon is probably like one of the most well done dungeons out of all of them. So no tears cried over that one. But if you do spot somewhere new that I have missed, definitely let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, the loot is going to be way more tiered to how it should be. You're not just going to be getting like bark and fiber anymore. There's going to be actual nice stuff to stock up on. It's a similar situation with the water one. I couldn't find anything new in Dagons, but I need to actually have a swim around because it could be hidden that way. And the Witch Queen absolutely didn't have anything new in it, just so you know, just quickly going over that in case you're like, what about this dungeon, you know? There is actually one more dungeon that does have a lot of difference, probably like one of the most biggest differences out of all the dungeons so far, is you go in the abandoned silver mine, and I double checked this on my other game version, not the test live one, and it was still all scorpions, but now there's all of this. There seems to be relic hunters in here now. This before would have not been relic hunters, but they are here now. So this is an additional spot with relic hunters, and it looks like they're scouting this area out. Like, the looters are coming in huge, and like looters are a big thing in Conan Exiles, okay? It's like one of the main things of the actual game, because they come here to get the lucrative loot in here, and we are stuck here with these guys. So there is now, like, some of these guys, She-Hat Mads, Killer Off, you can get some nice bits out of there. Silent Legion. Might actually be nice to come in here and get some early game, really decent loot if you can take on the Relic Hunters, honestly. But yep, there is Relic Hunters in here, all sorts of Relic Hunters. You could probably go and tame them, have an easy time of that. You go further in here, more Relic Hunters. There is actually a new boss in here as well. I did want to go over real quick. This might be a little bit of a lengthy video, and we'll have to see. But we go down into this area. Now, this is usually full of scorpions, okay? It's not full of skeletons. There is now skeletons here. There is this puzzle up here as well, which is a normal thing in the previous version of the game. Just not a lot of people talk about it. But you can climb up these walls and go up this big puzzle up here and get a bunch more chests. Let me fly up there real quick. There does seem to be what I feel like is more chests on this puzzle. So it might be even more worth it to go around. There's tons of treasure on there. And you can even see, just if you run in here and climb this puzzle, there's some really good loot on this one actually now, and you don't have to worry about any of the mobs as long as you can avoid and climb up. There's this guy, 3 skulls, big skeleton man, and if you were to kill him off, you get some nice bits out of him as well, generally like fragments of power. Fragments of power are going to be like a lot easier to get your hands on now, so definitely that will be a really nice feature instead of just going around random bits and bobs and places. I will also be having a look at Sipta, seeing if I can see any changes there, but I think they mostly meant the changes for exiled lands, especially when it comes to loot, because Sipta, they did like a really good job on it when it came to loot. They also said about more interactables you can pick up and stuff, so like on Sipta you can like generally if there's a pickaxe like this you could pick it up, you know. So, but I think this change will be a lot more around camps now. If you see like swords and shields laying around, you might be able to pick them up now. But I have not found any yet within dungeons. Yet to check out camps though. So, yeah, I'm a very busy bee. Oh, actually, oh no, this is just a book. I was going to say, damn it. But yeah, I've been a very busy bee, so I'm just going to continue doing my thing and getting you guys all this content out to check out. And yeah, I hope you have fun with it when it comes in September time. But that is most of the dungeon changes I can find. I'll be definitely looking into it more, but those are some things to get excited for. Loot is definitely 100% more worth it and way more exciting. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. I will be coming out with a legendary video as well, going over the legendary chests you can get now at the bottom of most dungeons, since they have disappeared. That will be coming very soon. But yeah, thank you for watching. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.